Hello. Hello.
Hello, how
Hi.
are
How are
you?
you? I'm fine. Hi, Darshan. Darshan
Yeah,
Pokhrel. So, how are you? It's a
yeah,
very time these days. It's COVID. We're in the middle of a pandemic. How are you? Let's begin with
mm.
a simple question.
I'm good. It's a bit like tired because of the weather, but other than that, it's been good. I've been working hard on Sunny. We just released a new project, and it's doing well. So enjoying it, and we're doing more things today as well. So
That's
Tenisa,
that's nice to hear. I am Manasvi, by the way. Your name's Manasvio.
Hazir,
So this is the
Hazir.
first time we're meeting up. We have had
Of
no
course.
previous encounter here with Agadi. So if it gets
Mm.
uncomfortable in the middle of the conversation for
China.
you or for
Mm.
anyone who's going to be listening, Putty, like just know, like this is the first time we're meeting up and it's in a Zoom conference. So
Okay.
I'm sure everyone listening, the viewers, the audience who will be listening, will be familiar with who you are and your work that you've done. But for people who don't know, could you give us like a background of who you are and how you transitioned from football, from Ireland to Nepal, and from football to videography?
All right. Okay, I can do that. So basically, I used to play a lot of football. Growing up, I still like live football. So uh, I started when I was 12, 13, and at that time I had a ball. I had a ball of energy, but I didn't know what to do with it. You get me? I wanted to be a professional footballer, but at the same time, I didn't really know if I could make it. So I just did some gardening and shit like that, and then I was like, okay, maybe I can earn money this way, and maybe I can buy my own camera that way. And then I remember like I was doing gardening, I was helping out with my dad at his restaurant just to earn a bit of money, and then I bought myself a GoPro, and then I started shooting myself.
Yeah.
Back in 2012, 2013, that's when I started out, and ever since then it has been up and up and up and up and up. I've been like super thankful for all the people that supported since the start. And I guess like if you're starting something new, you just need like a small support from your friends or your family, and then gradually I progressed with whatever I was doing, and here I am. So still learning, still growing, but that's how it started. I started with football, and I started with shooting football. I love sports. I used to I used to watch so many football highlights, just to see how they were shooting, how they were doing all the behind the scenes stuff, because we see a lot of perfectly composed shots all over online, but we don't know how they do it. So that's how it started out, pretty much.
Yeah, I listened to one of your podcasts that you did with I don't know who it was, but
Yeah,
I forgot. But it was about like how you talked about you bought a camera during the economic recession back in 2007, and I think Ireland maybe nine
yeah,
some stretch
yeah,
गरेको थियो होला. But I remember that time, and it was pretty scary for like a kid to be like, oh hey, to order your parent like, yeah, I want a camera right now during
exactly,
this economic.
exactly,
So I was
right.
very inspired by the way that you got, a GoPro Dubila, and I don't, I think like kids these days, growing up, like they don't realize like you put a lot of struggle, and you need that struggle to eventually like come up with something, I
Of
guess.
course,
And but when
right.
people see you now, they'll be looking at your Instagram feed. They're gonna be like, oh, like his life is great, but they don't know much about like what goes beyond that. So could you like give us a
Yeah,
background about like your struggle, and maybe like you're still struggling now, and everyone's constantly in a circle of struggle.
exactly,
So yeah.
exactly. So I think like when it comes to struggles, it's something that you kind of have to experience, and you do a lot of things right now that makes sense, and then after maybe like 5 6 years, it's like, wow, that was a huge struggle that I went through. Because एउटा प्रोग्रेसनमा गइसकेपछि people feel like ए यसले त यो बाटो पो आएको रहेछ त भनेर थाहा हुन्छ नि त. And nothing is हुन्छ नि different from my side. Yes, I pretty much grew up in Dublin. I mean, that was massive plus point because I knew what was working, and I knew how people used to do things, but I just didn't have any money, to actually go and do
Yeah.
it. So at that time, I still remember when I first bought that camera. I had my little sister. She was like 3 years old, and we used to have this small studio apartment, like a one room kind of apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And in there, it was my dad, my sister, my mom, and me. So four people staying in the same room with kitchen there, with bathroom there. So that was a difficult time, and it was a time when uh, we could barely afford to pay rent. So at that time,
Mm-hmm.
like put my trust into this GoPro was probably my, like life changing moment for me, because I didn't realize, okay, maybe I can do something with this. And then slowly I started doing something with it, like I was always shooting with it. That was the important bit. A lot of people these days, they tend to get so hooked up under, okay, I need the best gear, or I need this particular camera lens to achieve this. But what they don't realize is, okay, what is it that I'm trying to capture, or what is it that I'm, trying to tell the story of? And I think that's something I reflect throughout my work. I put a lot of, my own story behind the concept, to like how I present my videos. I think if you've kind of watched one or two videos, it's kind of fast, it's kind of sentimental. That's me. That's personally me. And I think Malai, like, do energy saying, I had that when I first bought that GoPro. I knew what I wanted to shoot. Now it's just I have better gears to do the same thing that I wanted to do with the GoPro. So at the end of the day, it's all about your ideas. Struggle after so, but if you struggle through your ideas, if you believe in it, then it all makes sense. I think the struggle is actually the most beautiful part of doing something good, because you go through a lot, not just physically but mentally. So that's something, like, I fully respect of myself. I know it sounds a bit, but I have to do that sometimes. So
Yeah.
that's basically, that's how I started out with the struggles and everything.
That's my motto. Keep the struggle. We need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, I'd like to know more about how you were inspired because ito kita I need to buy a GoPro the buy online. Like you watch
Right,
some is what you watch someone somewhere something maybe on YouTube
right.
maybe somewhere like who was it that
so
propelled
so
you to
so at that time, I didn't really have a much clue about video making in general. I just wanted to shoot myself doing tricks with a football. And I still remember at that time, there was this community of football YouTubers, a set of creators that made videos just with football. So it could be doing tricks, it could be taking free kicks, or it could be reviewing products like boots and everything. So I don't know. I just wanted to get into the football scene because I was always so passionate about it. And I was watching YouTubers like free kickers. I still remember, they were at the head of their game at that time, and they somehow, after like 1 or 2 years, they kind of recognized me, and then they invited me to Germany to work with them. So that was how I was inspired. So I think at the age of 16, I was working with one of the people that actually inspired me to make videos. So that was like probably one of the most eye-opening experience for me, because I got to experience how they did their thing. So
how they
and then
crafted
that
their
developed
skill.
into exactly. And then that developed into moving away from football related videos, making vlogs, because I wanted to kind of show people, okay, ilito esto as or esko di map my story. So and that just developed into whatever I'm doing right now. So it's always a progression, when it comes with filmmaking, because especially if you're just starting out, you're kind of never sure of what you actually want to create. You're just jumping from one place to another, depending on either passion or either money or either a bit of fame. So when I initially started out, it's I never thought, okay, I'll be making music videos after like 5 6 years. So that's always been the progression, and now I'm inspired by other people like Lyrical Lemonade, because I respect how they do their things.
Mhm.
So it changes every time. But when I initially started, it was the group of football YouTubers that were so passionate and so helpful when I started out.
Okay, that's really nice to hear that you were very lucky at a very young age. You got to meet like, and you got to work with other people. Like, if you told me like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
you can be working with Wong Kar Wai in like 6 years from now, I would like totally, I would not believe that at all. Speaking, so you kind of grew up in
Right.
Dublin, and for Dublin for me is like James Joyce School, Ulysses. But so how was the transition from
I know, I know.
going, yeah, from going like from Ireland, Northern Ireland and any
Yeah,
Ireland to Ireland
Ireland.
to
Yeah.
Nepal, any Nepal to Ireland because I saw your videos that you went to Chitwan. No, it's here.
Right.
Your videos that you went to Chitwan and to
Mm.
Danfur Gariko. I was like, I've never
Okay.
gotten to experience that, and I've lived here like almost like my whole life. And it was
Right.
just so nice to see that you're still very much into the Nepali culture and you still
Yeah.
have that, really balanced out. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but if you
Yeah,
could
I know, I know,
add,
I know what you mean. So
yeah.
basically, like to summarize what you're saying, I'm
Mhm.
pretty much like one of the. I don't know, like I don't really care about anything. In a sense that maybe I experienced something in Ireland, but it's not gonna make a difference in Nepal. That's how I
Mhm.
think, and I'm so easy to fit in everywhere because I don't know. People tell me like I'm like an open book. I can hang out with anyone, like or I was at this point where I still remember about like a year and a half ago, म ठ्याक्क एकदम बिरामी भएर एउटा हस्पिटलमा सुतिरहेको थिएँ होइन, अनि आई वाज स्क्रोलिङ थ्रु माई फोन एन्ड ठ्याक्क त्यो फेसबुकबाट आउँछ नि एउटा रिमाइन्डर के 1 year ago भनेर के, अनि
Mhm.
त्यो बेला चाहिँ 1 year ago I was in Burj Al Arab, okay, like
Mhm.
staying in the most expensive hotel in the whole world हुन्छ नि, and a year
Mhm.
later I'm in a hospital in Kathmandu because I had jaundice or something. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's the most this is like I can easily fit in everywhere, and I've always been this Nepali kid. Even when I was there, I always wanted to visit Nepal. Always wanted to see the mountains. I always wanted to see the beauty of Nepal, and then the people just the people make the place special here. So Telegardani, it's easy for me to kind of fit in because I don't know. I just have this ability to talk to people, understand their struggles. Because म त बच्चैदेखि रहँदा I grew up in Chitwan, and then I was born there. I know where I'm from. देखि
Yeah.
लिएर I know my roots, and I feel like कहिले नि त्यो roots चाहिँ बिर्सिनु हुन्न कि I see a lot of people, even my friends हुन्छ नि, 1 महिना बाहिर जान्छ and then they're like, wow, नेपाल त लास्ट धुलो छ यार, or नेपाल
Mm.
यस्तो छ उस्तो छ. I'm like, yeah, just move on हुन्छ नि, wait,
Yeah. Get
होला
over
बाहिर जस्तो
yourself.
नहोला, but at least exactly. So I think I don't know अब त्यसलाई के भन्छ, I don't know if it's humbleness. I don't really like to dwell on it too much because I feel like if I'm in Dublin tomorrow, I need to kind of fit in there. Otherwise I won't have a clue what's going on in my surroundings. So to हिसाबले चाहिँ it's like you have to make wherever you're staying, you have to make it your own home. And if you
Mhm.
feel comfortable with everything, I don't think it's that difficult. I think it's just the mindset.
Yeah. So if I could ask about your football journey. So you were
Mm.
हजुर चाहिँ फुटबल खेल्नुहुन्थ्यो अनि हजुरको केही एक्सिडेन्ट इन्जुरी भएको थियो.
Right,
So you
right.
can't play football anymore? Is that the thing or?
When it comes to football, like I don't really like to talk about it too much
Okay.
because it's like
Soft topic, touchy.
I don't know. It's like a passion I just gave up on,
Okay.
and then I just feel bad. So,
Yeah, that's
two
cool.
context matter, but yeah, I was kind of injured. I had a hip flexor, and At that time, we couldn't really afford to, the rehab and everything of recovering the journey in it. And I don't know. I never seem to be a type of person that can wait like 6 months just so that your body can heal. I have to do
Mm-hmm.
something in 6 months. So, plus football is one thing. The most brutal thing about football is if you don't play football for 6 months, you're like gone. That's the chance gone. So
Yeah.
it's like football. When it comes to football, it's like you have to train every day. You have to be obsessed every day, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
kind of learn every day. And
Yeah.
I just didn't have that patience in me to kind of wait till I
Mm-hmm.
recover to go back to it. But these days I don't really play football, but I like to just chill out on a Sunday night or Saturday night with a beer and watch football. That's something I'm more passionate about right now.
Yeah. But wait, there's a famous quote saying that,
Mm.
when one door closes, another door opens. So I guess,
Exactly.
yeah. But it's good that you're.
And it's that data, and I've always felt like that door is gonna there's gonna be one door open every year,
Yeah.
and it's up to you to kind of open it, or if you decide to close it, leave it closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's that progression because कस्तो हुँदो रहेछ भन्दा जति ढोकाहरू खुल्दै गयो नि लास्टमा चाहिँ एउटा फर्स्ट ढोका जुन छिर्यो नि जुन
Mm-hmm.
फर्स्ट
Main entrance.
initial idea थियो नि you always
Yeah.
tend to believe in, yeah, exactly. So you always include the first idea in every single door that you leave it open. So अहिले हामीले नि त्यही गरिरहेको छौँ. I have we're this massive team called Untitled.np, and it's full of creative people that want to tell their own stories. So and we decided, okay, you know what, let's try something out with music because uh, I've been obsessed with hip hop since I was a kid, and I
Mm-hmm.
really feel like, okay, maybe if we can team up, we can bring something new within Nepal. कुन सेन्समा भन्दाखेरि होला कति राम्रो एउटा भिजुअल्सहरू होला, but let's do it our way, होइन.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's show the people, okay, यस्तो गर्न पनि सकिँदो रहेछ नेपालमा भनेर. So त्यही नै हो. I think this is a new door that's open for us, and same with football. It was a door that was open a long time ago, and I still have that door open, so I can always go back to it. I don't have to play it. If I
Yeah.
can shoot a professional footballer, that's like a big achievement for me. So त्यो कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ football is always very close to me,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, it's something that keeps me alive in a way because I always look forward to the weekends just to watch football. So Tesa.
Yeah. Since so this is kind of we should like come back to the ground topic here because I'm interviewing you.
Okay.
We're sitting down for Tutors INC, which is about Nepal Malte more accessibly education dinako lagi. And it's a great platform. This room, this where I am right now, the venue is their office. This is their studying space, and you can't see this, but I'm on a 6 feet high table. And
I know. I've been
yeah,
there.
right. Yeah, to
It's
come up here,
massive.
but yeah, it's massive. So I think we should come education beside mention lagi.
हुन्छ
And
हुन्छ.
so, how were you as a kid growing up in school, and maybe like the transition that you went from like being in school from Chitwan, ani feri ekachoti Dublin, and then coming back? I think like you went to school here too.
Yeah.
So if you could talk about that, that would be cool.
So I was always the second kid. I rarely came first. So I was always second. Third,
Okay.
चाहिँ कहिले नि हुन्थेन. And there was always someone better than me, okay, when it comes to education.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who were first were like my best friend,
Yeah.
So त्यसरी नै I म त्यसरी नै हुर्केको के from class 1 to class 12 देखि त even bachelors, I was studying bachelors in Slinton. अनि एजुकेसन हिसाबले चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ के भयो भन्दा मैले 5सम्म पढेर गएको थिएँ. आई स्टडिड इन सनराइज त्यति बेला भरतपुरमा. आई वाज स्टेइङ इन अ हस्टेल बिकज माई प्यारेन्ट्स वर अवे बच्चैदेखि त. अनि मलाई चाहिँ के भयो भन्दा सिन्स आई वाज स्टडिङ 5, मलाई त्यहाँ गएर चाहिँ त्यो 5ले चाहिँ मलाई 8 or 9 सम्म ब्याकअप दिइरहेको थियो कि सो बेसिकली वाट एभर आई स्टडिड during my fifth class in Nepal was more than enough for me to get A grades in like Ireland, you know, 8, 9 को classes or okay, but ke bhayo bhanda, after that I got complacent and then I was always coming second or third. But I was always this kid who, you know, who did sports, who was good with education, who, you know, had a direction, who had a story, you know. And I was always this loved kid no matter where I went. And you know that kind of gave me confidence to kind of be like, okay, if I do well in my exams, maybe I can get rewards from my parents, you know. And that kept me forward. That kind of pushed me mentally since I was you know, not very, I didn't really like the education system as a whole, like putting everyone in a class and expecting to learn anything. But at that time, I was really enjoying it, you know, because I was making friends and the teachers were nice. They were helping me, and I kind of felt like, okay, maybe later in life, मलाई यो पनि चाहिन सक्छ नि त, होइन? I knew I wanted to make videos since a very young age, but I always put education ahead of me till +2 के +2 गर्ने बेलासम्म मलाई जे होस् ए ल्याउनै छ त्यो, बट म सधैँ सेकेन्ड चाहिँ हुन्थेँ.
Yeah.
तर त्यही हो, that was the only difference. Basically मैले यता नेपालमा जे पढेँ नि, that was more than enough for me to do मेरो एसएलसी त्यताको के. अनि त्यसपछि the next 2 years I actually had to study pretty hard हुन्छ नि. बट नेपालको कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ कस्तो भन्दा जसले यहाँबाट एसएलसी गरेर उता +2 दिन्छ नि, दे नर्मली tend to get scholarship and everything because यति कुराहरू सिकेर गएको हुन्छ नेपालमा, वहाँ जाने बित्तिकै सजिलो भइदिन्छ कि. एन्ड but if you are going there for uni, it's a different thing, okay? Because you have to work, you have to, you know, send money, you have to pay your fee, you have to study.
Yeah.
And it's too much for if it's too much for someone that actually wants to study hard, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
अनि त्यही भएर नि बाहिर गएर मान्छे पढ्न जान्छ एन्ड देन आफ्टर द्याट आले टाले गरेर सक्छ अनि काम गर्यो त्यहीँ बस्यो अनि यहीँ बस्ने भन्ने सोचले आउँछ नि त मान्छेहरू. बट अब हामी त बच्चामै गयो नि त, अनि हाम्रो लागि चाहिँ डिफ्रेन्ट बिकज वी ह्याड आवर प्यारेन्ट्स, वी डिडन्ट ह्याभ टु वर्क, वी जस्ट ह्याड टु स्टडी हुन्छ नि, बी rascals, do whatever we want. हाम्रो त्यस्तो छ भने it's different thing if you're going there for uni के.
Yeah.
मलाई चाहिँ त्यही ऊ भयो. अनि म +2 गरेँ and then I went to London for work and then I returned back to Nepal.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you can see this because like you relatively came here. What year?
It's been 3 years now.
3 years. So 2017.
If you don't count this year, it's gonna be 2 years. So I'm not counting this year.
So, but you see you see this trend of like people, you know, as soon as they finish college +2 A levels, like they have to go outside. And I'm not saying like it's bad, right? But the thing is like when you should like come back, right? Eventually, like to your country.
So मलाई चाहिँ कस्तो लाग्यो भन्दा I think +2 पछि बाहिर जानु is a great thing, होइन? Because that is the actual time that you'll experience a real world, okay? A world where you have to kind of work just to feed your own stomach, okay? त्यो एज हो नि त. सो नेपालमा चाहिँ कस्तो धेरै जस्तो मैले कस्तो देखिरहेको छु भन्दा मान्छेहरू बाहिर गएन भने दे गेट टु कम्फर्टेबल हियर के, बुझ्यो नि. बट बाहिर गएको मान्छे फेरि दे डोन्ट वान्ट टु रिटर्न के, त्यस्तो छ कि. सो we're in bit of a difficult situation in terms of the education as a whole के, किन अब मान्छेहरूलाई थाहा छ यहाँ पनि केही छैन र उनीहरूलाई थाहा छ बाहिर गएर कामै गर्ने हो, बट दे स्टिल चुज टु गो बाहिर के. बट त्यही हो, अब मलाई त लाइक आई डोन्ट ह्याभ मच एक्सपिरियन्स अन द्याट ओभरअल थिङ. सबैजनाको स्ट्रगल डिफ्रेन्ट हुन्छ होइन, सबैजनाको अपर्च्युनिटी पनि डिफ्रेन्ट हुन्छ. आई सी अ लट अफ पिपल बाहिर गएर राम्रो पढेर नेपाल आएर एकदमै राम्रो कामहरू गरिरहनु भएको मान्छेहरू पनि देखिरहेछ. प्लस अब बाहिर गएर बाहिर सेटल भएर बाहिरै काम गरेर त्यस्तो मान्छेहरू नै देखिरहेछ. मेरो साथीहरू नै अब सबैजना बाहिर गइसक्यो, जो म नेपालमा सँगै पढिरहेको थिएँ होइन, एन्ड देन देयर इज मी जो बाहिर गएर बल्ल नेपाल आइरहेको छ कि. सो देयर इज अलवेज द्याट कन्ट्रास्ट. तर नेपालमा भएको मान्छेलाई चाहिँ अब हामीलाई चाहिँ के सजिलो हुन्छ भन्दा जिस्काउनु पाइयो नि त हामीले, मोमो खाँदैछु, यो गर्दैछु, आज यता गयो, आज उता गयो, एन्ड दे मिस इट बाहिर चाहिँ त्यस्तो कुराहरू
Yeah.
होइन. तर त्यही हो, आई थिङ्क बाहिर जानुपर्छ, बट always keep in your mind that you हुन्छ नि एउटा पर्पस लिएर जाने कि. अब त्यहाँ गएर कामै गर्ने हो भने त किन पढ्ने भनेर जानु पर्यो त नि. पढेर गएर के गर्छु, नेपालको लागि नगर, आफ्नो लागि गर होइन. त्यहीँ गएर के गर्छु भन्ने एउटा सोचले गयो भने चाहिँ आई थिङ्क द्याट्स दि ओन्ली डिफरेन्स के. कतिजनाहरू जान्छ जोसमा जान्छ एन्ड दे डोन्ट नो वाट दे वान्ट टु डु इन लाइफ के.
Yeah, it's just
एन्ड देन डिली डाली
sake,
गर्छ एन्ड देन
yeah, for the sake of going, like, oh, I'm studying.
एक्ज्याक्टली
Whatever. Namatre.
Exactly.
The namesake.
त्यही.
So you should have
सो
a
एउटा
purpose.
एउटा पर्पस लिएर गयो भने चाहिँ एक्ज्याक्टली.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Dilo
Perfect.
has a silent audio, त्यसैले. But telepathically we're on the same page, I hope. So if you, because you're very inspiring and to our generation, to the youths, if you could
Thank you.
recommend, what I do is the people I look up to, I look at the people that they look up to. And I do that. I keep doing
Right.
that. And I eventually I go to the 17th century to like Voltaire and Rochefoucauld and all these great philosophers. And so who do you look up to? Like who could, like you could name like 10 people, 5 people, not to put you on the spot, however, how many as you want. But like skill or I was like the admire गर्ने मान्छेहरू चाहिँ, like just name a few to like guide path.
खै आई थिङ्क द्याट इज probably the most difficult question that हुन्छ नि for me, किनभने I don't have one specific or 10 specific people I look up to. Like, I look up to my grandmother हुन्छ नि, त्यस्तो कुराहरू छ कि मेरो चाहिँ कि. अनि there is no specific like Steve Jobs, I look up to Steve Jobs, I look up to Elon Musk चाहिँ छैन मेरो चाहिँ. मलाई चाहिँ I look up to people around me के. Like I look up to my friend Sushil who he works hard and I look up to his struggle. I look up to my grandmother's struggle. And then it's the whole idea of looking up to people is okay, if I know them personally, I should look up to them. If I find them inspiring, but speaking of
I'm talking more like I'm talking more like skill related.
Skill related,
like
okay.
Videography related, cinematography
Right.
related.
That is also one thing that changes with time and time, I think. Same with कस्तो भन्दा vision evolve हुँदै जान्छ नि त एउटा पोइन्टमा गएर. एक वर्ष अगाडि if I was admiring someone like Sam Colder because of his way that he makes video, now I'm inspired by Tarantino because of the way he tells his stories, the way he grabs his the audience's attention. So मेरो लागि चाहिँ it changes, so I don't have a specific people that I look up to.
Yeah.
Do you get me? But I watch everyone. Literally, I watch K-pop. I watch Nepali, like movies. They can tell I watch Bollywood. I watch everything. So I'm inspired by little things, little specific moments within film. And then I tend to have my own spin on it. That could be one inspiration that strikes me. हुन्छ नि मलाई चाहिँ त्यस्तो हुन्छ. I like to watch everything. I like to admire everyone. While keeping my originality throughout my content. So मलाई चाहिँ त्यस्तो लाग्छ.
Yeah, the thing is when you start admiring someone's craft, you tend to become grab like to manseko to narrative. Like you kind of start sounding like that person. And if I could speak, if you're more into like Tarantino, you could have like the part going and like
exactly
the 3-part story. You could have like that. So it's very hard to keep that originality throughout what you're doing, I guess.
Exactly. And right now we're in that stage of figuring out our own style, Okay, you're in and then maybe that can inspire other people's, and I wanna try something similar. So हाम्रो चाहिँ त्यही छ. अब टेरेन्टिनोकै हामीले कति आइडियाहरू ल्याएको छ, but you cannot tell, okay? Because it's so modified, it's so different. Just scenario ne different, setting a different voice. This topic a different voice. So and is it
Tarantino le पनि कति क्युबर्टको लिएको छ कति पुरानो डाइरेक्टर
exactly
so it's the same thing it gets filtered and you keep adding to what you know your craft I guess.
Let's go back to education.
Education.
All right. So what was it like for you? You know, I'm just interested in because I didn't do my SLC or I yeah for you.
So for me,
Did you study in Nepal?
Yeah, I did. So from 5th grade till 12th, it was a very weird, let's not say weird, it was very obvious for me. My dad's like the first generation educated Bako. Like he's like the first person in my family to have received education. So education was a very big part for, my family and everyone. So, and even if like he was the first generation to be educated, he went like on to do like his double masters and a PhD in particle physics and helping discover the kaon. And it was very inspiring me. It was very inspiring to me and it's very nice. I think we can cut this out, because I didn't know that I would be asked questions. So, for me, I was always surrounded by like educators. And I made a family. I grew up in a very big family, a lot of cousins. Sabi mero amaji, chamaji, timaji, sabi they were all teachers. And mero bazeji was a teacher too. And it was so for me it was more than education, it was learning how to utilize your education, to utilize what you learn. Education is nothing unless like you don't know, So for me, I grew up, when I went to like 12th grade, I realized that education is synonymous with utilization. So if you can't apply, if it's not applicable, then why learn about it? And what I learned throughout like 5th grade to 12th grade, like some of them, but most of the things that Nepal education system, our syllabus learn is outdated. It's outdated to excessively outdated, heavily outdated. Like my parents learned the same syllabus as I did. They learned the same chapters. They learned the same physics on Bohr's Heisenberg principle, chemistry and biology. It's very outdated theory. So when I was in school, it was very easy for me to learn because I'm a very quick study person. So like my process it when I'm like but I always realized that like this is not applicable. So I never like really heavily based myself on like education and stuck with like getting like learning everything, I guess you could say. So I just since it was not like applicable for me and I knew like this is not what I wanted to do growing up further on when I get older, so I was like like this is BS. I'm gonna learn it for the sake of getting good grades, but beyond that it's not important for me. And right now I'm doing something completely different. But I guess I'm circling back to the point. Nepalko education let's just say it's outdated. It's not applicable. And if I could, I would change it like in a heartbeat. And I think that there's something wrong with the way that we're teaching kids these days. And I really look up to you. I really like the way that you're striving and you're getting there. And you found your own path and it wasn't heavily dependent on what other people are saying or the scaffolding other people have laid out for you, right? So Nepal is spoon-fed type of education. So it's like there's not a lot of creativity, not a lot of critical analysis, things that you would really need when you grow up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's sad, really.
Did you feel
Sorry, could you Sunena Mazale?
Hey Sunena,
I'll Sunena.
did you ever feel like that you were kind of under pressure because you had your family members who were highly educated now
Mhm.
that हुन्छ नि like अब मैले नि के गर्नै पर्छ कि भन्ने did you ever feel that pressure or was it like normal was your parents kind of chilled out जे गरे नि गरोस् type कस्तो थियो
So, my father's still a teacher. He's like a professor,
okay
and
right
so there is this pressure of like having like okay, like your dad's this person, and he's immaculate at what he does. So you need
Hmm.
there is more than afno family could be the pressure when happening. There's like more like a external pressure society ko, or bahiरको मान्छेको, which is
right
like
right
so my parents taught me not to, my parents raised me up pretty well. They're like,
okay but for me it was like it was a bit different because I had that pressure because I would be the first in my parents' generation to get a degree, but I had that pressure,
oh, okay.
and it was always my parents telling me to study because your dad didn't study or your dad didn't get a degree or your uncle didn't do it. You have to do it. So I would be the first,
Yeah, first
to
generation.
get first generation to get a degree, but I dropped out at the end of the day, so I think now it's up to my brother to kind of fulfill that task.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's something like I want to talk about in this conversation because I think it's so important to kind of realize what's actually happening, with the education system as a whole. Like like I don't mean to say it in a bad way or a rude way, but my experience studying in Nepal was obnoxious because one, they were not teaching anything. Another, they were not experts. Like if I'm paying 15 lakhs to go to a London metropolitan university, I'm expected to get a expert uh, to teach me
Yeah.
how to do things, and I didn't find that in Nepal. It was more about this money making business for them and more about just getting a degree for us,
Mhm.
and I didn't want to be a part of that. So I did my fourth semester, and then I was like, you know what, this is not what I want to do. If I want to study, I'll go and study abroad.
Mhm.
Whereas say like I was like, okay, yeah, maybe next time. But say I dropped out.
Yeah.
Mere say this is a if it's not worth it, what's the point of doing it at the end of the
Exactly.
day? You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
So I think Nepal say teachers are opening, like how I'm not like sorry. I'm not going to be like comparing, right? In comparison, like comparatively, it's like teachers are just being teachers for the sake of money. It's like,
Mm.
okay, I got a
Exactly.
degree. I really don't know what to do yet. I haven't found my thing yet. So for
Mm.
the interim, momentarily, let's say I'm going to be a teacher, and so they're not passionate enough to teach, I guess. And teaching is like a very difficult job, and I just think like people are not. Made a vantage point, but I'd say most of the teachers are not passionate about what they do, and I think
Right.
that's a major problem in our country right now. And people are not passionate about anything. Like I've
Right.
worked at I volunteered at NGOs and governmental organization of money, and like people are so chill. Like they're not passionate about anything that they're doing. They just look so something. So they just did that for the sake of getting pension, retirement money, and then
Right.
these like
Right.
काम तापेर सुन्तला खाएर हुन्छ नि. I mean, you can do that vacation को बेला, but like when you're working for a government office, like you're expected to be on your mark, to be on your feet, and they're like, so it's teaching, same kuda, like teachers are
Right. Right.
not. So I'm very sorry to hear that your experience went down like that. So Yeah.
I no no no. I think that was like, the most important decision of my life, because then I realized, okay, I can stand up for my own feet. ल
Mm-hmm.
गयो होला पैसा गयो होला, बट त्यहाँभन्दा अरू त के गयो त नि, होइन?
Mm-hmm.
झन् if I went ahead with it, मेरो time जान्थ्यो नि त.
Oh,
That's something I value.
yeah.
Like, so they do context, man. I don't think it was a bad experience. It was an insightful experience for me, because
Okay.
uh, I met a lot of people, and that's
How
all I
optimistic.
give a shit about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's very
So,
nice.
and Malini, when it comes to teachers, I look at it differently. Like, I'm like, okay, उनीहरूले नि दुःख गरिरहेछ होइन, उनीहरूको पनि स्ट्रगल छ, उनीहरूले नि परिवार पाल्नु परेको छ, they have to do it for money, होइन? Who
Mm-hmm.
wants to teach a obnoxious 20-year-old, okay, about
Mm-hmm.
Photoshop? Okay, हुन्छ नि?
Yeah.
Like, no one wants to, like, you don't want to grow up and teach about Photoshop. Okay, that's something, you have a skill and you feel like you can teach it, make some money off it, and
Mm-hmm.
then they apply for the job and they get the job, and that's
Yeah.
how it is everywhere. Okay, no one wants to be, हुन्छ नि, teaching Photoshop, के हुन्छ नि?
Yeah.
मलाई चाहिँ त्यस्तो लाग्छ, अनि त्यो पनि हो, but at the end of the day, is it right for, uni to charge us that much amount for something so basic?
Mm-hmm.
जस्तो नि लाग्छ कि मलाई, अब हुन्छ नि, फोटोसपमा नि लाइक उनीहरूले केही सिकाउने होइन कि, इट्स जस्ट गो अन युट्युब, ट्युटोरियल छ, गर,
Yeah.
भन्छ अनि सकियो कि. सो द्याट इज नट गुड नि त. एटलिस्ट केही नजाने नि एफर्ट दिएर सिकाउन खोजे नि, होइन?
Mm-hmm.
ओहो गरे होला त हुन्छ नि त, लाइक हाम्रो पैसा नि कता गयो नि थाहा त हुनु पर्यो नि त. And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm coming to tutors and I'm paying uh 3,000 rupees per session, I know, and I expect to learn something from it, neither. I'm not
Yeah.
there to waste my time, neither.
Mm-hmm.
Another, but if I'm not learning anything, what's the point of paying that amount? Boy, come on, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess Azuko topic when in a different bio because it's like Photoshop, it's like film. But if you were like doing like more like
Exactly,
history or
exactly,
chemistry, you would
exactly,
want teachers who would be very,
exactly.
inspired. And the great thing about tutors INC, just a
Of
little bit of
course,
ad, is that the people here are very highly inspired and motivated, and they will not waste your money or your time. So
yeah.
I
It's
would
more
like,
about the service actually. So
service.
they were any answer. Mm.
So what are your plans, Abate, if I could ask?
I don't know, just keep floating, Like, I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to go far too fast. I just want to float with my own pace. Just, be aware of my surrounding. I don't know, मेरो कुराहरू अलि लास्टै weird होला है, but I think
No.
मलाई चाहिँ like I tend to love that energy of constant progression. And हुन्छ नि, every day is a new day, every day is a new step. So I don't want to plan too much, and I don't want to speak too much about my plans, के बोले
Okay.
चाहिँ फेरि बोला बोले हुन्छ नि त.
Yeah.
So मलाई चाहिँ त्यही, I just want to continue on with music, हुन्छ नि, being somewhat or a music video director, हुन्छ नि, like specific task नै के. And I don't want to divert that vision के anywhere के. ल पछि नेपालमा चाहिँ कस्तो भन्दा, when it comes to filmmaking, you start out with your own passion, telling your storyदेखि लिएर, you get into that pressure, okay, यिनीहरू त सेटमा काम गरिरहेछ, यिनीहरू त खतरा खतरा एक्सपेन्सिभ कुराहरू चलाइरहेछ, होइन? what am I doing with my skill? भयो हुन्छ कि त्यो, सबैलाई हुन्छ कि त्यो. And then त्यो त्यो अर्को लाइनमा गएपछि दे लुज ट्र्याक अफ, ओके, वाट वाज माई भिजन, वाट वाज माई इनिसियल भिजन भन्ने नै they tend to forget that. Okay, so मलाई चाहिँ त्यही हो, अब चाहिँ like I've this idea set, होइन? Now it's my time to kind of just be so obsessed with that idea that just one day at a time I'll have a gradual अनि कस्तो not everything is हुन्छ नि in front of the computer, के editing मात्रै होइन के. You need to know how to meet people, you need to know how to talk with people, you need to plan ahead, हुन्छ नि, with so many uh, ideas. They can later, you need to build that relationship. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. So I'd like to ask you one thing. The one thing that I would really like to ask you is that so much of what you do is built around by being constantly inspired and motivated by the people and
Right.
culture around
Right.
you. So, what's your technique, or like,
Right.
what would you suggest other people after like they're inspired, the grit because you have to be on your mark with a camera, and you have to be constantly thinking and being aware. So, like, how would you suggest other people to be constantly inspired and motivated?
Right. And I think when it comes to being inspired, I don't actually like suggest anyone anything, you know. I think सबैको आफ्नो way हुँदो रहेछ कि अनि I'm kind of, you know, inspired by the thought that okay, I'm present in this moment. I know. How can I make the most out of it? देखिन्थो लिएर okay, what is something new that I want to try in this particular project? मलाई चाहिँ त्यो कुराले it kind of motivates me. I don't know if I'm constantly, you know, I think my biggest fear is like being stuck or, you know, not evolving.
Mm-hmm.
So that feeling, okay, I have to make the next thing, the greatest that I've ever made, kind of motivates me with and it doesn't have to be a massive project, you know, it has to be something that comes from within you. मलाई चाहिँ त्यो कुराले चाहिँ I get motivated by it a lot हुन्छ नि मेरो roots त्यस्तै भएर नि होला. I think I'm more inspired by हुन्छ नि the feeling that okay, अब चाहिँ I'm trying something new, अब चाहिँ I'm learning होइन. अब चाहिँ we did a good project देखि लिएर ओके सबै कुरा राम्रै भयो अनि मलाई चाहिँ त्यही कुराले नै खास त्यस्तो मोटिभेटिङ भनेर त्यस्तो हुँदैन. Everyone goes through dark times होइन. So मलाई चाहिँ त्यही लाग्छ. I think just to be present, if today is good, focus on today हुन्छ नि, make tomorrow better. Tomorrow better भएन, what can you do? So त्यही नै हो मेरो लागि चाहिँ. For me that is what I kind of look out to context.
Okay.
Does it make sense? I don't know if it makes sense.
It does. You're
I
more
think my
like,
answer was so confusing.
no, it's not. I get that in a way. I see that from
Alright.
that you're very, you're like live in the moment type of manse. So, and I really admire that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a very fast, obsessive to more about the future, and at times I can find it very hard to live in the moment. So I really admire that about you, and I wish that could be something that I have.
Should we come to like a little conclusion? Because I have to go somewhere.
Yeah,
I'm like running
it
late.
was very nice meeting you. It was really nice. I'm just worried that your
Yeah, you too.
audio is not synced, and I'm wondering like how they're gonna edit this. But yeah, it was very nice meeting you. I
Yeah.
wish you all the luck and all the love, and I look forward to watching your videos to your music video career. So
Thank you.
thank you for being awesome.
Thank you for having me. You know, it was a pleasure.
Likewise, thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.